Kevin Owens has a major neck injury and has been dealing with it since January and is going to be out for an indefinite amount of time, has to have surgery. Andy, this is a wild shakeup this close to WrestleMania.
Yeah, this really sucks.
Yeah.
I really hate it for Kevin because I feel like this is the best version of Kevin Owens we've had in a long time.
Agreed. Yep.
And I think this is the old NXT version of Kevin Owens that just is out to get everybody and go after everybody. And I was really looking like this is one of the matches that I was really looking forward to was Randy and Kevin. I'm glad they figured out what was going on. I have a hard I know I've listened to his interview post this and how he said it was just normal moves like 4 months ago, but I don't how do you go through what he went through at the Rumble and make it through that match just fine with a neck injury?
Yep.
The dude is just a different animal. I hope we get him back sooner rather than later. I hope he heals up well, but this one, out of all the WrestleMania matches that we've kind of had canceled for injury or whatever, this one stings probably the most in recent memory.
I have to bring up the other side of this. I have to play devil's advocate. If there is any superstar or any match that would use this as an angle, it would be this one. Now, I feel terrible in saying that. Let me preface this by saying I feel terrible in saying that. But could you imagine the diabolical heel that Kevin Owens would be if this was just an angle? I feel like I have to bring it up.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I mean, the whole time Friday night, I was just waiting for him to attack Randy at some point.
Yep.
But that obviously that never happened. I think if it was any other injury, I could really believe it. I think the neck injury part makes it. It would be a bad look for everybody. I mean, especially with what they just went through with Big E and Daniel Bryan and Edge and everything else. I don't think it'd be a good look if they went through the same thing with Kevin Owens and they just played it all. Like they said, he had a really bad, severe neck injury and then used it as a storyline.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Trust me. I agree. I feel terrible in saying that.
But you have to bring it up.
The whole time I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, this would be just genius if this was because normally, like you said, if they're doing this injury angle, normally the attack happens right away and boom, we don't even have to think about it. And it is what it is. But dude, if you carry this on, we got 2 SmackDowns before WrestleMania. If you carry this on until the night before WrestleMania and then boom, KO drops him and having said that though, seemingly we're going to get a replacement for Randy Orton. In a perfect world, it's Nick Aldis. Okay, let's just be honest. In a perfect world, it's Nick Aldis. But I've been thinking about that, Andy. The problem that I have with that is that is a gutsy move by WWE to put Nick Aldis in that spot in his first, not just WrestleMania match, his first WWE match, his first match since, what did he do? Had a bicep injury or a pec injury or something. Something that he had to have some major surgery on and has been out for a long time anyway. So his first match in probably a year plus.
Longer than that, probably.
At WrestleMania against Randy Orton in front of a crowd, let's be honest, Andy, who the majority of them don't know Nick Aldis as a wrestler. They don't know. I know WrestleMania crowds are a little smarter, but they still don't know what he can do because they just don't know. That's not their fault. They just don't know. I just think Aldis is probably the right guy. It's just, can they sell it and can they get us there?
I mean, they don't have to sell me. I just throw him in the match and I'm sold. But
Squared Circle Radio is sold on this match, no doubt about it.
But I agree. I think there's a great portion of the crowd that would not realize that Nick Aldis has this massive lineage in professional wrestling as like one of the best. I mean, to be one of the best in the NWA of all time is not the easiest thing to do, and Nick Aldis to me is one of the greatest in NWA history. So just the prospect of him and Randy Orton entering together at WrestleMania is perfect. But I agree. I think there's a great portion of the crowd that wouldn't know him. But again, if you're going to introduce somebody and make a name, debut at WrestleMania against Randy Orton and potentially beat him, he's a made man right there if he does that.
Any chance you think they rushed the Malachi Black debut a week earlier, put him on the show?
Honestly, like after this went down, I thought of 3 potential solutions.
Okay, I just gave you 2. Who's the third?
Yeah, I thought of Aleister Black. Obviously, Aldis was one of them. I think Rusev is an option.
Okay,
because he just resigned. I think if that music hit and Rusev walked out, I think the place would go crazy because it's Rusev.
Sure.
But the other one, I don't know if you could do it. If you could find a way, maybe not in like wrestling in it, but if you could find a way to insert him in Cody and Cena. Maybe like special guest referee or, enforcer or whatever the case is. I think that would be really interesting, especially if like The Rock gets involved and is in like Cena's corner, then Randy can get in Cody's corner and be in his corner. But if it is Aleister Black, really, if it's anybody that brings in, to me, they have to beat Randy at WrestleMania. So you have to figure out who you want to have that win over Randy.
The only one that could lose is Nick Aldis. I think you can have Aldis lose and it's fine, especially if it's just a one-off with Aldis.
Yeah, I agree.
Bryce in the comments, he's going to fight Aleister Black. Oh, that's honestly my first choice. Aldis is the safe choice. Aleister is my first choice. Like, it would be very easy to just rush that debut up one week and listen, Andy, have him squash Randy. I don't care.
Have him do what he did to Cody.
Yes.
Do that. That would be great. I would love it if they did that. Like they brought it up. Another one that he just debuted and we didn't, he could be a potential Randy Orton versus Rey Fenix at WrestleMania. I think Rey is another guy that since he's debuted, if you had Randy beat him at WrestleMania, I don't think it would take away from Rey. So like if you want Randy to win at WrestleMania, I think it needs to be Nick Aldis, Rey Fenix, or like a Trick Williams or something like that from NXT.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're bringing in a Rusev or an Aleister Black, then I think they have to be the ones to go over.
Yep, I agree with you for sure. All right,
I want to get to what percentage do you give Shane McMahon?
Oh, that one's interesting. The
whole board meeting with Tony Khan never happened. It never happened.
Really?
In Shane's mind, probably now.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Well, AEW and WWE are continuing to be at war. We don't know who's going to induct Lex Luger into the Hall of Fame. That hasn't been confirmed yet. So, just fire another shot by. Oh, you won't let us have Sting? All right, we'll just shove Shane McMahon down your throat then.
We don't want Shane, though. We don't want Shane.
Listen, that a part of you, if that music hits, a part of you is going to be excited. A part. I didn't say how big of a part. I just said a part of you is going to be excited.
Yeah, to see if he blows his quad in 2 seconds again.
Well, that also may happen. But it's against Randy Orton, so we're going to mat wrestle and we're going to rest hold. And
rest hold. Rest hold. Yeah, there we go.
I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine.